Welcome to the back office. I'm Dalayna Dillon, the founder and creative director of Signify Marketing, and this is where you sit in on real strategy. Each episode, we step into active businesses and have honest conversations about marketing, growth, leadership, and the decisions shaping what happens next. No one has it fully figured out, but we are building anyway. Today, we're sitting down with Courtni and Mekala Stiek, photographers and co-founders of The Called and Creative, a photography education and community platform created to support and equip photographers, especially women in the creative industry. We're talking about collaboration over competition, building community, and creating the kind of education they wish they would have had when they first started. We've all had that where it's like, I wish I would have had this, knew this, whatever, when I first started. But welcome, Mekala, Courtni, to the back office. Excited to have you both here. I'm just coining you guys the dynamic duo. We'll just go with that.
Yeah, sounds good.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
So tell us, for each of you, how did you get started in photography?
Yeah. So I'll go first. About 6 years ago, I picked up a camera, not even to start a business. It was literally my friends had talked me into studying abroad for a semester in college.
Fun.
And I was like, if I'm going to go to Europe for like a semester, I'm going to have really awesome pictures. So I went and bought a nice camera, learned all of the ins and outs of like how to take good pictures and everything, got all prepared. Literally less than 24 hours before we were supposed to leave, like bags were packed and everything. COVID had like started
Oh, wow.
hitting Europe.
So
at
this
that
was like
point.
the beginning of the year?
Yes.
Okay.
In 2020.
Yeah.
And so the school ended up saying we're not calling it off entirely, but we are pausing to see like what everyone says about it, if you can even go. So we all went to the school, they had a meeting about it, and then a couple of days later they officially ended up canceling it entirely.
Wow.
And then they had to like rush to like get us into classes because it was 2 months in. Because if you haven't studied abroad before at most universities and stuff, they don't typically leave when the like beginning of the semester starts. They'll
Okay.
usually wait like a month or a month
Mhm.
and a half and then they leave. And so we were partway into the semester and trying to figure out how to deal with all of that. And then a couple weeks later, COVID hit the United States. And so everyone was trying to figure that out. And at that point, like a lot of people got stuck at home. I had nothing better to do. So I just kept playing with my camera and
So had you like officially taken that semester off of classes there? So
not entirely
Okay.
because they were able to like technically get us into classes.
Okay.
I didn't really learn anything because we got thrown into literally random stuff and it was basically just to keep us technically full time
Yeah.
for art to like for scholarships and
Right.
things, so we didn't lose anything. And so we were already partway through it. We only went to in-person classes for like a week and then they switched to online because of COVID. And so then everything from that point on was online. And by that point, the teachers were like, we're going to do bare minimum stuff. And from that point on, it just kind of got worse and worse. The
Yeah.
more like COVID kind of hit. But
So what were you majoring in?
at that time, I was majoring in psychology. So a lot of my classes, most of them by that point, I had done my generals. And so they really struggled trying to find classes to dump me in at that time. But they were able to find just kind of a couple of random like classes that technically fulfilled some general studies, and then they got me into one psychology class that actually checked off a box that
Yeah.
I had to take anyways,
Yeah.
which was kind of sad because I felt like I took it, but I didn't technically
Right.
take it.
Right.
But it ended up being okay because after that whole thing and me learning my camera and all of that stuff, I ended up changing my major
Okay.
to multimedia, which is a mixture of graphic design and like photography and videography and things like that. And from that point on, that kind of like changed the directory of like
Yeah.
where I was going in life.
Yeah.
So-
Talk about a pivot from the very beginning
Oh yeah.
to even get you into the industry.
Yes.
Wow. And then so did you just stick with photography from there? Did you start doing photography right out of college?
Pretty much, yeah, because basically, I like to tell people my business kinda happened on accident
Mhm.
because I didn't intend to start a business with
Yeah.
it. I just got a nice camera, and then, after I got stuck, I kept learning it, kept taking pictures, and then more and more people, like family and friends, they were like, "Hey, you have a nice camera. Can you come take our pictures?
Right.
We got engaged. Can you do our engagement pictures?" And then slowly it was like, "I'll pay you $50." And I'm
Mhm.
like, "Okay, cool. Like, I guess this is a business now."
Yeah.
And so it just kinda slowly morphed into there. I set up social media pages, and more people started paying me to take their pictures, and I'm like, "Okay, you know what? I could turn this into a business."
Yeah.
And it ended up getting big enough for me to use that as, like, my part-time job while I was finishing up school
Mm,
to be able to put myself, through the rest of my undergrad.
that's
And
awesome.
then, after that, I graduated, and my husband and I got married, and we moved here to Oklahoma. I'm originally from Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so we moved here, and I had applied for a handful of jobs and stuff here, but basically I was able to move my business enough and get out in this area enough
Mhm.
to actually just continue to do it full time.
That's incredible.
So
Like, that sounds like a dream situation.
it really was. Yeah, I've never technically had a full time job, but like, in
Outside of
W
this.
2
Yeah, yeah,
wise,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I've just been able to move straight from college into this, and so it's really really cool
Yeah.
because I think a lot of people they have it the opposite where they
Right.
start in a typical like W 2 or 9 to 5 type of job and they slowly transition out of it into their business where
Mhm.
like I kind of built it while I was going to school,
Yeah.
and so it just kind of naturally progressed that way.
That's gotta be the dream. So, Michaela, how about for you? What did that look like for you starting out?
Yeah, so I actually started in college as well.
But y'all didn't know each other?
No,
Mm-mm.
we've only
Okay.
known each other what 3-ish. We
Yes,
met when my oldest was 1, I think.
that sounds right.
Yep, and he's almost 4 now, so
Okay.
almost 3 years. Yeah. Yeah, but I actually started college as well, but I very much did it on purpose. I very much started a business from the beginning. I was working full time, I was going to school full time, and I was, totally on my own, paying for an apartment, living the
Mhm.
adult life. And so I was trying to work 2 jobs, but I was so burnt out because I was like,
Mm.
I'm on somebody else's schedule
Right.
24/7. And so
Right.
it's like, if I need additional income, it would be much better for me to be able to do something on my own time, be
Mhm.
able to schedule it out, do things on my computer whenever I need to. And so I've always loved taking pictures. Me and my friends in college, we would, take our iPhones out and get dressed up and go take pictures of
Yes.
each other. And I always loved that. And so I was like, what can I do as a business that I would also enjoy? And photography was that. And so I had a little bit of money saved up from probably graduation because, high school graduation, a
Yeah,
little bit of
yeah.
money set aside from that. So I went and bought the one camera I could afford at Target and just a little kit lens, crop sensor body, very, very starter. And then luckily, my dad is an administrator at Tulsa Tech. And so I was able to go take some night courses at Tulsa
Okay.
Tech. And that's
Yeah.
how I learned like all my settings and all the things I know about photography. Of course, I've learned things over the years, but
Right.
that was really how I got my start. And
Yeah.
so I think I took 2 night courses. They're about 8 weeks each, about 16 weeks total. After that, I was able to just kind of start with model calls. So I charged 25, $50. And then as I grew my portfolio and things, I just kind of started charging more and more and more. And that was my side gig for a long time. I actually ended up getting a business degree. I've been teaching high school for a few years.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. And then once my son was born, like I said, he's almost 4 now. I had every intention of going back to work and putting him in daycare. And then he was born, and I said, I can't do it. And
Mhm.
so luckily I have my business to fall back
Yeah.
on. So and kind of like by accident too, like I never intended on photography being my full time career.
Mhm.
I did start it as a business to make money, but it was more of like a side gig and just
Right.
like a fun side hustle. I never intended it for it to be my whole life, but
Yeah.
now it is. So
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
incredible. Well, and okay, so what did you teach in high school? I'm just curious.
I was a business teacher, and so
Okay.
I
Well, but
taught some, like,
that's
graphic design, business
yeah,
courses, yeah.
that's gotta go into helping you with your photography business
Yep,
because you got a business degree plus you were teaching business.
yep.
So how has that strengthened what you built, like in the business sense?
Yeah, as far as, like, my personal photography
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
in all sorts of ways. I look back on I feel like I've lived a whole lifetime before, like, my photography started, even
Yeah.
though I was so young. So I'm only 27 now, but I feel like I've lived a couple of careers.
Right.
And I think a lot of people would look back on it and like regret their time teaching. Like, oh, I
Mm.
could have been a photographer all this time, or I could have built up my business. I don't regret it at all because I feel like I gained so many skills, like getting a business degree,
Yeah.
being in, the education world. I've learned a lot as a mom too, things that I can take back as a mom and use in the future. So I don't regret any of it at all. It's only built me up as a person. And the
Yeah.
more you learn as a person, the more your business is gonna thrive. So
Well, and I just don't imagine that a lot of photographers have a business degree, but then I think what's hard in the photography and not just photography, but in the creative industries is there's a level of skill like that you've been taught, but then a lot of it is just developed because the more you do it, the better you get at it. You
mhm,
get your look, you get your style, and that's why people come to you. But even in any of those creative type of industries, the business piece, you got to remember like this is what I love to do. I love being creative. I love all this, but at the end of the day, this is a business and it's got to be sustainable. It's got to make sense for my life.
right.
All of these things. So I can only imagine that business degree and that experience has strengthened the health of your photography as a business. Not just as, oh, she's really good at this, but this is a business. We take it seriously. We charge what we need to charge. We handle things
Yeah.
like it's a business.
And this is something we talk about quite
Mhm.
often is we have both had experience with not only other photographers but creatives that
Mhm.
they're really good at what they do, but when it comes to communication and client experience and just like the business side of
Mhm.
the business
Mhm.
is lacking.
Yeah.
And so that's something that we've been really passionate about is like helping people realize like yes, you can be an amazing photographer, but we also got to work on these other things. And we want to provide an amazing experience. We
Right.
want to be profitable. We want to be ready for the long term. Otherwise, we're going to crash and burn at
Yeah.
some point. And so that is something that we talk about quite frequently. That is a chronic issue in the
Yeah.
creative industry.
I can imagine it is. Is that some of what led into you creating together called and creative? Is that some of the problems that you were looking to
Yeah,
address?
Definitely. I
I would
would
say
also
so.
say like part of it just being like a lack of community a little bit
Mm.
too. Just
Yeah.
because when you own your own business, you typically don't have employees. You
Right.
don't work in an office setting. You don't really see other people, as much as you would if you worked a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And so for us, like another piece of it was being able to find other people who were like us that we could become friends with and create community and just be a support system because sometimes it can be really lonely
Yeah.
to be an entrepreneur
Yeah.
and especially in the creative field because I just really feel like, if you're a creative, you're giving so much into like what you're doing that a lot of times it's hard to like pour back into yourself.
Right.
And so for us, like the community part was really important.
Yeah. And that would kind of be hard though because it's in photography, but in a lot of creative spaces, everyone looks at each other as competition. So how has that been, creating that space where we are technically competition? People could go to any person in this room, but to create community there in that space.
I think we both have gone through so much business at this point that we've realized that like your specialty is so important and you can, shoot a variety of things, but really you need to have a couple of different things that you're really good at. And so like at this point in my business, I'm primarily shooting real estate and then
Okay.
branding.
Okay.
Courtney is like the opposite. She's primarily shooting weddings and newborns.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
so we just send things back and forth.
Yeah.
If I have a newborn pop up, or this just happened 2 days ago, I
Yep.
have a family who I've done all of their photos. They live just a couple blocks down the road from me. She's due with her third baby the same week as I am. So I
Oh,
cannot do their newborn
right.
photos. And so I'm just sending them on to Courtney. And
Yeah.
same thing as she has a branding client that she can't get to or doesn't want to, she sends it over to me. And
Yeah.
so I think people don't realize that you are not in competition with everybody.
Yeah.
You really are only in competition with a few select people.
Yeah.
And it's okay to pick up, I still pick up, that family. If I had been able to do their newborn photos, I would have because I've shot with them
Right.
before. But typically, I'm not going to pick up a brand new client that's
Yeah.
newborns.
Well, and
I
they might
kind of
not come to you
specialize.
because you don't
Right.
showcase that. You
Right.
don't talk about
Yeah.
that on your in your
Yeah.
marketing,
And
you know.
everybody's not your client either.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so and you can't service everybody. And so once you realize that, it's so much easier to be friends with other creatives because you're like, oh, we can actually help each other.
Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
not competing against each other.
Well, and I do think probably in the beginning people kind of take anything they can get,
Yes.
Oh
but
yeah.
like
Yeah,
you
I did
said,
too.
focusing in on what you're really good at, what you want to be good at, and then developing your look because there are being in the field that I'm in, there's people businesses who want branding shoots or they need
Uh-huh.
new headshots or whatever. And so I'm able because I do know not everybody, but I know a good number of photographers and so I can think based on that photographer's look and
Hmm.
style who matches the brand
Right.
best. Like if they're very bright and light,
Mhm.
okay, well then it might be this photographer. But if they're more of a contrasted, moody type of edgy, that's gonna be a different
Right.
photographer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's space for everybody.
Yes.
There's space for everyone in it. So what other things did you feel like photographers needed that really caused you to launch Called and Creative? Community is a big one.
Hmm.
What else?
I really wanted local education. So when I went full time, I actually joined like a 6 month high level coaching program,
Okay.
but it was all online. So
Mhm.
the coach, the girl who owns the coaching program, she's in Canada, and then
Oh,
she
wow.
has coaches like across the United States. And so everything we did was Zoom calls.
Yeah.
It was great. I learned so much. I mean, quadrupled my business after going through that program. It was an amazing program, but I didn't have that local community. Like, I wanted to be hands on. I wanted someone to come to a shoot with me and watch what I'm doing and sit down and look at numbers with me and do all those things. Like,
Yeah.
I wanted something local.
Yeah.
And so that was part of that for me. And I also love teaching because I used to be a teacher.
Because
And
you're
so,
it's in you.
yeah, I wanted to be able to do some like workshops, some individual coaching and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, so explain just in case I haven't fully given space for it. Explain exactly what is Called and Creative. It is a community, but tell us more of a picture of what it is and what you guys created it to look like.
So we're kind of still in the process of entirely, defining exactly what all
Yeah,
we're going to be
fleshing it out.
doing. And
Yeah.
yeah, because we just started this, what,
Our
September?
first workshop was
August.
August of
Yeah.
last year,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
still pretty new.
Yeah. So we're still kind of trying to figure it out. We kind of have some ideas for some online courses and then some like in-person workshops
Mhm.
as well as just like local like community things. Like we had done like a coffee meetup
Oh,
a
fun.
few months ago, and that
That's
was really
fun.
fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
But really, we just really want it to be like what we wish that we would have had when we were
Mhm.
starting. Because
Mhm.
I'm sure you probably could feel this too, but a lot of my questions kind of got answered, or I looked for them on what I call YouTube University.
Yes.
Because you Google it and you find a video of somebody talking about it, and that's like sometimes the only way that you can
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
Especially when you're first starting out. And in my opinion, I think there was probably some gaps that probably could be filled. And that's kind of what I'm looking to create here is to
Mhm.
kind of fill some of those gaps and just encourage women and like creatives to actually step into it and just give it a shot.
So do you visualize this for more than just photographers?
I would love it to be. In my opinion, I mean, yes, photography
Mhm.
specifically because that's what we do.
Yeah.
But
Right.
in my opinion, being creative, like there's just so many different outlets that kind of encompass that.
Right.
And a lot of creatives are kind of multi creative in that
Yeah.
sense. If that so like yeah, I do photography, but like literally all growing up, like I drew, I painted, I did pottery,
Mhm.
I did all of the creative things. I was that creative kid
Yeah.
growing up. And so looking back, like nobody's super surprised that this is what I'm doing now.
Right.
But I just think it's so like just being creative in general and figuring out like how to, use that as part of who you are and what you do and like some of your purpose.
Yes.
So
There's so many different ways. Like
there
I
is.
actually ran into a friend yesterday at the nail salon, and we ended up getting together afterwards. And she's a makeup artist, and
Okay.
so I went over to her house, and she showed me her new studio and things, and we just came up with so many ideas of how we could work
Work together.
together and
Yeah.
like build each other's businesses together.
Yeah.
And we do completely different things. I don't
Yep.
Yeah.
do any kind of makeup or
But
anything
it
like
makes
that.
sense why she
Yes,
would fit nicely.
yes.
with that.
Yeah, so we talked about doing like a headshot event where she could do makeup and
Yeah.
then I could take photos, and she wants to start like a coffee meetup for moms who are also entrepreneurs, and all mom entrepreneurs will be welcome. And
Yeah.
so just different things like that, ways that we can support each other. And so I could see it growing a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're so focused on photography because that's
Right.
what we do and that's what we
Right.
know. That's what we know how to teach.
Yeah.
But it
Well,
could
but
grow.
and
Yeah.
so that skill set, like you said, photography trainings and
Mhm.
things like that makes sense, but there is elements of it that does go across
Yes.
Mhm.
industry.
Yes.
Anything in the creative. I love that you said makeup artist. I mean, there's so many people that would 100% align with that.
Right.
So, what do you think creatives struggle with emotionally that people outside the industry might not realize?
Loneliness.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Uh, Imposter syndrome. It's a big one.
That's a huge
That's a
one too.
huge one in the
Yeah.
photography industry.
Because there's always someone bigger, you think?
Yeah,
Like bigger, doing more.
there's always somebody who's just a little bit better than you, and there's always somebody who's just a little bit different than you,
Yeah.
and you may not ever be at that level, if that makes sense. Like just because they're different
Yeah.
than you. And it's just so easy. I mean, you get on Instagram, there's a million photographers, and it's just so easy to compare your work to those around you. And
Yeah.
it's everywhere, you know.
Yeah.
Think about photography. I mean, magazines, billboards. I
It's
mean, it's
everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're constantly surrounded by it.
Yeah.
And so, imposter syndrome is something that a lot of photographers deal with.
And so talk more about the loneliness too, because I feel like some people might not get what that means. Like, what do you mean lonely? You know what I mean?
Like you're doing everything by yourself. You
Yeah.
know, you're the one that's running the business. You're not only providing, the service or the creative whatever it is that you're giving to people,
Mhm.
but you also have to do all the back end stuff.
Right.
You got to if you don't have the money to hire somebody to do that, you're doing the bookkeeping.
Yep.
You're sending the proposals and the contracts and the invoices. You're keeping
It's
track of
crazy.
everything. It really
Yeah.
is. There's
It's a
so
lot of
much
hats.
that goes into running a business that
Yeah.
I think a lot of creatives fall into the this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be creative,
Right.
but there's so many other things that you have to do on the business end that just overwhelm us because all we wanted to do is just be creative and like do this one thing.
Easy to just like we got together with another photographer a month or so ago, and afterwards I was like, wow, I needed that. Like I needed that community, and
Yeah.
I get so wrapped up in my own little world and doing all the things that I do that you forget that like you do need that community. And so
Yeah. Yeah. I
it's
think
just
that
easy to get lonely.
I think you would relate to this story. So this is kind of me personally because I listen, I know what it looks like, what the work that you guys are out like, oh, it's so fun to take the photo shoot, but like I know that's what we see out front and that's like, maybe an hour session, but
Yeah.
then I don't know, behind the scenes, behind a computer screen, editing, all of these things. And that's not to mention what you were saying of writing proposals for your next client, sending invoices, sending reminders for the unpaid invoices. But this is something I think y'all can relate to. So when I majored in kind of the same degree that you did in college. So it was more media or more video focused than photography, but a graphic design, videography, all those things. And a lot of my friends, like, they knew that that's what I did, so a lot of the things I was working on were projects. So while they were in class, I was in class too, but that was, like, an hour of class and then 4 hours of work on outside of class,
Yeah.
and so I think it kinda set this expectation of my friends that, if I wanted to spend time with them, what I would do I don't suggest this, but what I would do was I would stay up all night because I'd wanna go hang out with them, but then I still had that 4-hour project or video
Right.
to edit or whatever it was, so then I was the one staying up all night. They got to go to sleep. I did not. And so actually after college, like years after college, a college friend moved back to Tulsa. And it was so interesting to me because she would, I don't do the same thing, but I do a lot of the same thing. Like it's still a lot of projects, all these kinds of things. And it was so interesting to me because she would always be asking me to like, just come over, just do this. I'm like, I have work to do. Like I've got to
Yeah.
work. And she literally told me, she's like, I'm just so used to how it was in college where like you just still hung out with us and then you would just stay up and do your projects. And that really, it kind of bothered me. It rubbed me because now that I'm older and wiser and don't pull all nighters, It kind of bothered me because I'm like, you're willing for me to sacrifice my health, my well-being, my sleep, so that I could have community with you. But you're asleep whenever I still have to go home and do the work that I should have been doing while we were spending time together.
And you know what's
Yep.
crazy is clients will do kind of the same thing. Like they expect you to be editing nonstop.
Yep.
Which I have really good clients. I've just built my business around like having really good clients, and I think that you've probably done the same
Mhm.
thing. But especially if you're lower charging, like people can just be so,
Mm,
oh, why are you out with your family having pizza? You should be
that's
editing
so
my
bad.
photos.
Oh, that makes
Yeah.
me
Mhm.
that
That's a
burdens
big
me.
issue, especially like in the fall when it's so busy. You
Yeah.
know, we see posts all the time of clients are blowing up my phone, wanting to know why I'm not editing on
Yeah. Why are you
Thanksgiving.
having a coffee date or why are you doing
Yeah,
this or that? Because
yeah,
I don't have my
because I don't get to
photos.
have a life. I'm a photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it's
should be doing
crazy.
well, I just think that that's a piece of that too that people outside of this kind of work don't
Yeah,
see.
Mhm.
exactly.
That we are kind of expected to sacrifice things
Hmm.
because it's solo if we're doing things behind the scenes that they don't see.
Yeah,
Yep.
And a lot of that happens when you're by yourself editing photos.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, in this community that you're building and growing, how do you help others, or even what advice would you give to others on fighting uh, that kind of natural tendency to look at everyone as competition?
So for me, I just think it's more of a you have to realize that one, not everyone is your client, and two, like even Michaela and I, like we kind of have similar editing styles,
Mm.
but we don't shoot the same.
How
We
would you
don't.
describe your style? I'm just curious.
So my style, I would call it more like moody,
Okay.
contrasty,
Hmm.
a little edgy,
Hmm.
romantic
Yeah.
type.
Yeah.
Hers is very moody as well, but in my
It's a little
opinion,
more true
not
to
quite
color.
as contrasty. Yeah, a
Yeah,
little more true to color.
yeah,
But still, like it's different enough that I don't view her as direct
Yeah.
competition.
right,
She also doesn't shoot the same stuff that I
Mhm.
do. She
right,
does a lot of real estate and branding and works with businesses and things. Whereas, like, I'm more like doing weddings and maternity and newborn right now. That's mostly what I'm shooting. And so there's really no reason for me to, be jealous of anything that
Yeah.
she has. I mean, I'm very
right,
proud of her and the business that she has built, but there's no reason for me to
right.
to view her as like, oh man, she got the client and I didn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it's usually not the same clients.
No.
Yeah. I mean, we have like swapped clients a few
Mhm.
times. There was once that I had like a newborn session, and I was thought I was going to labor with my second baby, and so I had a friend do it. That client came right back to me
Yeah.
because they trusted me,
Yes.
and so when you have good people,
Hmm.
it's not really a worry. I think the more that you surround yourself with actual people and not just look at the
Oh,
competition from
yeah.
Yeah.
across Facebook or
Yeah.
Yep.
across Instagram, the more you realize, like, okay, they're people and they're not my competition. Like,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
my friend,
It
I like that.
rehumanizes them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get in the room with them. Don't just
Yes.
Yes.
follow them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and so many photographers I feel like are so bad about this of just literally staying in their own little
Mm.
bubble, like
Hmm.
never looking for community outside of their own business, and
Yeah.
you need it.
Yes.
You really, really do. I hate to be a Debbie Downer if that's not your thing, but everybody needs the community, and
Yeah.
so
Well, is there an element where you actually help? Well, I know with y'all because you're providing education, but
mhm.
even just being in the room with other photographers, doesn't it tend to make you better?
Oh, you learn
I
so
think it does.
much.
Yeah.
There have been times that we've been talking about something, and she says that, "Oh, I do this thing in Lightroom." I'm like, "You can do that? Wait, what? Show me how you do that." And so there's just things that come up in
Yeah.
conversation, and when you do the same things, it's easy to just talk mutually about the things
Right.
that you do all day. And so there are just natural things that come up, and you're like, "Oh, wait, tell me more about that. Like, I want to learn more from you."
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah. I really like that. So this is kind of funny. It's been some time, but I talked with another photographer, Tracy Baker, and we were joking around and I was saying how like we need wedding photographers to like have their podcast of the worst stories because I don't know, when you said you're a wedding photographer to me I'm like I need to hear all the horror stories because I feel like the two things that you cover are the most stressful things probably to cover because you got newborns and you got weddings. These are big milestones. But do you have a good story for us on
Oh,
a wedding?
I don't know. I don't know if I have that many like chaotic stories. Most of my
Yeah, I've
clients,
shown a lot of weddings too. I don't really
yeah,
have.
they're very glow with the flow, which is kind of
You
how
just have
I am.
attracted all of the very chill brides.
I have,
Yep.
yeah, I really have.
I will say I have worse luck with the moms
Oh,
than I have
really?
with the
Like mother of the
brides.
brides?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. They're always really just high strung, and I get it. Like it's your little girl's wedding, and you've been thinking about this since the day she was born. I get it, but there have been times where the bride has been like, "Hey, mom, like
Chill out.
I paid her, I trust
Yep.
her, like let her do her job."
Yes.
It's always the mom.
I
See
have
that.
to agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if it's not the bride, it's the mother of the
Yeah.
bride.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
I have not had any crazy. I really wish I had one. I, well, I
I'm
don't
I'm
wish,
trying to
but
think.
You don't wish.
I wish
Yeah.
I had something to tell you. But
Yeah.
I'm glad I haven't been through that.
Right.
I've had a lot of drunk groomsmen,
Really?
and that's frustrating sometimes. When
Yeah.
you're trying to do pictures.
You're like, come on, just look.
Yeah.
Look at the camera.
Let's focus for a little bit.
Well, I'm sure it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, hopefully, most of the time.
You ever had like a baby or anything?
Not on me.
Oh,
Okay,
that's good.
actually. So there's a funny story with that one. So this couple came in with their baby, first time parents, and you could kind of tell like they were kind of nervous and
Yeah.
not entirely sure like how to fully hold it or like do all the things. Well, I kid you not, it pooped in the diaper. They took the diaper off and it like projectile pooped.
Oh, no.
Like and it
Yeah,
kept
my
doing
kids did
it.
that.
And like the mom like panicked and didn't know what to do. And so like she tried to put another diaper underneath there and it like straight up pooped on her.
Was she going to be in the
Oh,
pictures
no.
She
too?
was going
Oh.
to be.
Oh no.
So we had to like she used something from my client closet, which ended up being really good. But I just felt so bad for her 'cause she
Yeah.
was already like she came in frazzled, like
She's
really
feeling like an
kinda
amateur.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Aw.
I mean, we made it work. She loved their pictures. I just felt really bad for her.
Well, it gave a story. I'm sure they
It
have
did.
told that story
Oh, I bet
even
they
to the
have.
child
Yeah.
many times. So you on the Called and Creative, you do events, you do trainings, education, but you also have a podcast.
We do.
So what is the focus? What are the conversations that you're having or wanting to have on that podcast?
So far I think it's kind of been a good mix of like kind of some educational stuff
Okay.
Kinda hot
and then
topics. and
Yeah.
like hot
technology,
takes and
yeah.
things.
I love hot takes.
Yeah, we did
Yeah.
one about like AI with photography and
Uh-huh.
things like that. We talked about like the crazy prices of like SD cards and
Yep.
like SSDs and external drives and things like that. They're still very
I
high. They're
need
so
to buy
high.
some.
Yeah. Trying to think of what else. That's
Also,
mostly what we've
yeah.
like covered at this
It's
point.
very
and
organic.
Are you
Yes.
in any like Facebook groups for what you do? Like other people who do what you do, and they just kind of chat on there.
If you yeah, but it's not local, but yes.
Yeah, so we're in a lot of photography
Okay.
groups like that, and so we kind of watch like the posts,
Oh,
the hot
yes.
topics,
What they're
what are
talking
people
about.
talking about
Yeah.
right now? Yeah, so we kind of use that to our advantage.
Yeah,
We're kind of on a little break right now. Just I've been very busy,
of
and
course. Is this busy season for y'all? Like, what is
it's getting
normally
into
busy?
Yes.
it.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So slow
Spring.
season is like
Yeah.
January through March ish. So
Okay.
March starts to pick up. I don't really like to shoot outside of March. March
Yeah.
is still kind of slow for me. And then we hit another lull like July, August
Uh-huh.
because it's so
Just
hot.
crazy hot.
Yes, people
Mhm.
don't want to. Oh, and people are saving for back to school
Yep.
clothes and all of those things. So that gonna have two little slow seasons
Yeah.
here. So we're kind of taking a little break, and then slow season will hit. We'll probably pick back up.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure
Um,
other photographers too, they're like,
yeah,
I
I don't
gotta
have time
work.
to listen
Yep.
anyways.
I gotta
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were thinking. But
Yeah.
I think next season we want to bring some people on and
Mhm.
have some more like in-person conversations like this.
Yeah.
Which is really what I enjoy. I love just learning about people and hearing
Yeah.
their story and learning from them.
Yeah.
So
And that is that podcast called The Called and Creative?
mhm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's same name.
Yep.
Same name.
So people
Same
can
name.
find it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you feel like, especially you're saying you're like even seeing in these groups and things, what are newer photographers struggling with most right now? Do you think?
Business.
I
Like
feel like the
business
business
side.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I get clients? How do I keep clients? How do I keep clients happy? Contracts.
Or is
How do I
that the
Oh my
biggest
gosh.
learning curve when you're getting started?
The business part?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would say so, especially if you don't have like a business background, which most people do not.
Yeah.
especially for starting a photography business, they're creative people, and so
Mhm.
So they think it doesn't matter.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
They're like, it's just let me just do what I
A
love.
lot
Yep.
of them learn the hard way,
Yep.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is really sad because I feel like it's probably the world has been robbed of a lot of people who
Mm,
really would have
Right.
been good
yeah.
because they didn't learn the business
Yeah.
side or
Right.
Yeah.
at least try and like figure it out long enough. They got too burnt out trying
I was about to
to
say
just do the
burnout's very
creative.
Yeah.
real in our
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
Very, very real. And I've dealt with it several times myself. But
Yeah. So what are things that y'all do to keep yourselves from being burnt out? Because sometimes when you're burnt out, it's already too late. Like
yeah.
Yep.
you send in reinforcements, it's too late to prevent this. It's
Yeah.
happened.
So for me, a big one is I put like a cap on like how much I will book per month.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like
And
a number
so
of sessions or
number of sessions and weddings.
okay.
So for me, I do not take more than 3 weddings in a month. For
Okay.
me, that's
Maxed
just
out.
maxed out
Yeah.
for weddings.
I think I saw
Um,
you share that on your social media that like
mhm,
how many you had left for the next couple months.
yep.
Yeah.
And I really only have room for like one more this fall.
Yeah.
Um, but that has really worked well for me because I don't feel right about taking so many in a
Mm.
month
Mm-hmm.
that I potentially show up to a couple's wedding not feeling like myself
Yeah.
and not being able to capture their day at the best of my abilities, all because I wanted to take on an extra
Yeah.
wedding.
Yeah.
I don't think that's fair for them. It's definitely not fair for me because then I'm going to be sitting on the back end trying to edit their photos,
Yeah.
being like, oh, I wish I would have
I don't want
done
to
this.
look at these people
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for me that has really helped. Same thing with sessions. I will typically I usually book my weddings about a year or so out.
Okay.
So that kind of helps give me an idea of okay, this month is full for weddings. I could take on a few less sessions this
Mm-hmm.
month, or more if it's a slower month for weddings. And so that kind of helps because the time frame for
Yeah.
booking sessions versus weddings is a little different. But that's been a big help for me is
Yeah.
capping how many I will take.
Yeah. And in a world where more seems always better, that's gotta be
Yes.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you?
I think I have a couple of things. And
Okay.
so, first would be just choosing a specialty that really works for your lifestyle. And so, that is why I went into more so branding and real estate because
Mm-hmm.
I can do most of that Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm a weekend girly. I love my weekends. I want
Okay.
to sleep in on Saturday. I want to grill out in the evening. I want to go to church on Sunday. I want my weekends.
Yeah.
And so I shot, portraits for so long that I got really burnt out
Mm.
because all evenings and weekends,
Yeah.
you don't get anything else. And
Right.
some people love that. I have a friend who she only shoots weddings. It works great for her. Her husband works during the week. She keeps her daughter during the week, and then they kind of swap.
Yeah.
And she goes does her thing on the weekends. She loves it. It's great for her. I would hate that. I
Yeah.
would I would get really burnt out doing that. And so for me, real estate and branding's great. I can work my regular Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And so plus it's still flexible
Yeah.
around like my kids, my family and things. And so that would be number one for me is picking a specialty that really works for your lifestyle and realizing that it can change too.
Yeah.
Like your kids are going to grow up, your lifestyle is going to change, the things that you have going on the outside, and then your
Mm-hmm.
personal life are going to change. You can change specialties. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And so just knowing that is really helpful. And then my other one's outsourcing.
Oh.
I outsource most of my editing,
Okay.
not all of it,
Yeah.
but a good chunk of my editing I actually outsource, and
Mm-hmm.
that is a huge help. Not everybody likes to do that, but there's other ways to outsource. You
Yeah.
can get a virtual assistant,
Yes.
taxes,
Bookkeeping. Yeah.
bookkeeping, yeah, different things like that. And so figuring out where you can outsource and where it's actually going to make you more money than
Right.
costing you money because you get extra time to actually work
Yeah.
is really important too.
Yeah. That is definitely something that people might not think of.
Yeah.
A lot of two people I've talked to recently, literally what they both said to me
Uh-huh.
about a virtual assistant is, I wish I had done this sooner.
Yes.
Both of them. But then again, they are at a place where it made sense for them.
Right.
But both of them said they wish they had done it sooner.
Yeah.
So if that's a message to anybody, maybe that means it's
And
time.
sometimes it's just for a season too. Like
Yeah.
I have two toddlers at home. It is
Yeah.
unless I stay up super late at night, and I'm not a night out either. I want to go to bed.
Mhm.
And so unless I stay up super late, I don't have time to sit at my desk
Yeah.
and work. And
Yeah.
so outsourcing editing is a huge time saver for me because that's time I don't have to sit at the desk.
Right.
That's time I can be with my family.
Yeah.
So,
And when you give them a good product to
yes.
edit,
Yeah. Yeah, find a good
most of their
editor.
work's done.
You have to find a good editor. There are
Yeah.
bad editors out there. It takes
Yeah.
time. I have an amazing editor. I love her. I hope she never quits, or I don't know what I'm gonna do. But find a good editor.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an option. People
That's
don't.
brilliant.
Most people don't know it's an option.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't have thought of that.
Yep,
I would
it's
not have thought of
awesome.
that at all. Okay. So since we are talking to two people who either are doing or have done weddings, what is for what are some beginner photographers mistakes that they've made that they could have been avoided with better education? Um, and what's things they need to know before entering a wedding?
Ooh.
Starting out, what do you need to know before stepping foot?
So we actually just filmed an entire wedding
Oh, you
workflow
did?
We
workshop.
did, yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Tell us
Yeah.
about that because people need to know.
Yeah, so we filmed it in January. It was
Yes.
late January. Actually ended up getting rescheduled. We had a whole style shoot plan that we scheduled to film
Uh
this
huh.
workshop.
Uh huh.
It was when we had that big snowstorm,
Oh
and
my
so
word.
yes, we had to reschedule it. So it ended up being the end of January.
Mhm.
We're still working through the back end of all of
Yeah.
that, but it's just like an online course with
Okay.
videos showing you how the flow of a wedding day works. Because if you've never been intimately involved in a wedding, like you've never been a bride or a groom, maid of honor, or some kind of wedding vendor, you don't. Not all wedding vendors even see like a full day
Right. The full
flow.
picture. Yeah.
But yeah, if you don't have that experience of how like a wedding flows from getting ready to the grand exit,
Mhm.
I mean, you're gonna have a really rough day.
Yeah.
And so that's what the wedding workflow workshop is. It's a step by step of how we plan ahead, how we pack, what we do when we arrive, and then like the flow of the day and
Mhm.
how each step looks throughout the day as far as photography goes.
That is awesome. So it's not out yet. It's not
No,
available
Not
no,
yet.
yet.
it will probably not be out till the end of the year.
Okay.
If I'm
And people
guessing,
Yes.
yeah.
can purchase it and then go through it
Hmm.
online.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they need to know.
Yeah.
They need to know. Okay, so back to the business side of things. What has been the hardest part of actually building a creative business?
There we go. I feel like I'm talking.
Sure.
I'm a talker.
That's
I will hog this mic all day long.
um I don't know. I would say like for me, the realizing that you do have to charge people and that it's yes, this is like something I want to do
Yeah.
but it's also a business and I
Yes.
need to be able to make money. I need to
Yeah.
be able to pay my own bills. I need to be able to, feed my family and
Mhm.
do what I need to do so that I can show up and be my best self and, give them good work.
Yeah.
And so, setting prices that are actually like functional
Mhm.
for you
Mhm.
and they cover all of your costs of doing business and you still get some left over.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things that especially most photographers I see in a lot of the groups on Facebook where they're talking about, oh yeah, I'm just starting out, how do you get people to actually pay you to do this?
Mhm.
And I think it's a lot of a mindset thing of like, I'm not worthy of
Mm.
being paid to
Mhm.
do what I'm doing. And I think that a lot of it probably comes back to imposter syndrome, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. And I think it's just why would people pay me to do
Yeah.
something that, maybe isn't worth it? But it really is,
Yeah.
especially if you have put time and effort into it and you're good. And, it's a lack of confidence on our part too, because we put a lot of our, you know, we let other people dictate how good we are
Mhm.
when we need to know that we
Yeah.
are good enough
Yeah.
and we're worthy to actually be paid to do this job.
Right.
And so I think a lot of new business owners, especially in photography, fall into that trap.
Yeah. Well, and I know, and you probably have. Is this a mistake you made in the beginning? Was underpricing yourself?
Yes, and like even really believing that people would actually
Would it
pay
actually pay
me
you? Yeah.
to do that, just because it's like it's taking pictures,
Yeah.
and so it's a huge step of like, oh, I'm just taking people's pictures.
Yeah.
Why would they pay me to do that? Well, they would pay me to do that because I know what I'm doing and I know more than the average person who is just holding their phone.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I know how to pose. I know how to actually set my camera to take the best possible picture. I know where to position them for the lighting. There's so many things that I know above and beyond a
Right.
normal person
Right.
that is part of what justifies, someone paying me to do this is
Yeah.
because this is a legitimate job. The average person couldn't just walk in and
No.
do it.
No.
I
Listen,
think what
that's
we
true.
need is more education for the public of
Mm.
Yeah.
like how much we put into it,
Yeah.
how much education we have,
hmm
the knowledge that I do have above and beyond someone with an iPhone.
Yeah.
Um, we see posts all the time of I need a photographer who's not going to charge me an arm and a leg, and I
Then
want a
just grab your
I
iPhone
want a
then.
full
Yep.
experience for $100. I'm like, that won't even cover my gas ticket
Get a
where you're
teenager with an
going.
iPhone.
Yep.
Yes,
There,
yeah,
if that's what you want,
yeah,
if that's what you want to pay, that's
yeah,
what you're gonna get.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's hard to like come out of that voice in your head
Yeah.
when like that's the public's opinion. And I mean, how many times has someone said, "How's your little photography business going?"
Oh, so much.
That's my career. Like that is my
Yeah.
life,
Oh my word.
And so it's like it's hard to overcome that
Yeah.
voice,
It
but
is.
when you surround yourself with people who get it,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
all
It
the difference in the
makes it
world.
easier
Yes.
because I think it's good to just remind yourself like they don't get it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because if you have the people that do get it, then you're like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we
Yep.
know, we
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I think that too with the pricing issue, it's every industry. People don't price themselves what they need to, and then they find out later. But I know for me, that was a learning curve for me too in what I
Right.
do, and what I realized too is once I realized, oh, what is the cost of me actually doing business? Okay, and then I need to charge more. But
Yeah.
also I started realizing when I did kind of want to quote unquote help someone out and give a lowball price to them, what ended up happening is I felt taken advantage of.
Mhm.
But I the one who gave them the price. So
Right.
I really have no right to feel that way. I told them how much it would
Right.
be, but because then I'm the one doing the work and I'm like, I'm doing a lot more work than what this is worth.
Right.
I felt taken advantage of, which really I shouldn't have because I'm the one who gave them the price.
Right.
hmm
And
Well, I
that's
don't know if
something
this
that
is an
we
issue
can
in
do.
your
Yeah.
industry. We have a lot of bartering
Yes,
going
yes,
on
yes,
with
yes.
photography,
Yeah.
which we trade sessions.
hmm
Yeah.
And I have a select handful of people that I will trade with
Yeah.
because they support my business even if I'm not taking their pictures. They're my friend. Like they trust and support me. I just have my select few people who I will trade with.
Yes.
But you have to be so careful because people will take advantage of you and they will try to trade you for something that's worth like way less than what
Yeah.
you're giving them.
Yeah.
And so that has been a huge thing that I've seen too is people undervaluing themselves by
Mhm.
bartering, which
Mhm.
bartering's great. That's what you want
Yeah.
to do, but you just have to make sure it's worthwhile and the person
Yes.
that you're trading with is someone you trust.
Yeah, you have because then again, you could be in a place where you feel like you got taken advantage of, but you
Right.
agreed to it.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
So I definitely experienced that, but I also understand too what the cost of them giving me that is versus the cost of me
Right.
giving them my time.
Right.
You know,
hmm
Yeah.
because a lot of times they might want to give a product, and I'm like,
Right.
well, I know it costs you about 30% of what you're charging. So to
Right.
say that the full value of that is equal to
Mhm.
X number of dollars, I know that's not true. And there's no markup. Like for me, the
hmm
cost, like it's my
Right.
time and all of the resources that go into
Yes.
doing that. So
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
I think that's a
Well, the
really
lost
great advice.
income that you
Could have
use
done. Yeah,
Yep.
for their time,
exactly.
Yeah. Anytime
Yeah.
I barter for a session, you're taking an hour away from someone who
Yes.
would have paid for it,
Yeah.
and so
Yep.
you just have to make sure that it's worth your
Right.
time.
That's
And
very
it's okay
smart.
to say no too. It's okay to
Yes.
hmm
say I would love to work with you. Here's my pricing guide, but I'm not interested in a barter right
Yeah.
now. So
I just can't do it right now.
yeah,
Yeah. And it's totally fine.
yeah.
It's a-okay. Okay, so before we close, I always ask this question. What is one thing, and both of you can give an answer. What is one thing you don't have fully figured out yet, but you're choosing to build through anyway?
You want to go first?
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't thought about this too much lately. I think I don't know my full future with photography. Like I can't tell you what it's gonna look like in 20 years.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a day-to-day basis. And like I said, it ebbs and flows with my lifestyle and my kids and what we have going on, which is so beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
it's great that I have a career that can do that, but I couldn't tell you what
Yeah.
I'm gonna be doing in 10 years. I don't, or even 5 years. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing exactly what I'm doing right now, and maybe I'm doing something completely different.
Yeah.
So, I guess that would probably be my biggest struggle right now is just not knowing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of a hard one. I would maybe even say some of the business end of things because I've put so much time and energy into figuring out how to do the creative side
Right.
that I'm still trying to work on the business end of it because unlike Michaela, like I don't have a business degree. I didn't take any business classes. All of
Mhm.
my classes were creative. They
Yeah.
were graphic design and social media and photography and videography, all things that I use on a
Right.
daily basis in my job, but the business end can be kind of overwhelming for me
Yeah.
sometimes. So figuring out how to balance that end while still maintaining all of my creativity and the energy that it takes for me to do that and still, put out good work.
Yes.
Um it can kind of be exhausting.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of trying to figure that out and how I need to kind of format it with my
Mhm.
life so that I can stay up to date with the business
Right.
back end and not feel like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 months since I've done my bookkeeping. I don't even know what I brought in. Like, oh my gosh, I need to sit down and do this.
Yeah.
And then have to like take a whole week to figure it out because I waited too
Yeah.
long. And so I think that end for me is something I am
Still
still
figuring that out.
figuring out and
Yeah.
still trying to work on. But honestly, I think that's okay. And I think that that kind of even makes, the called and creative all that much more like
Right.
real because we're still trying to figure it
Yes.
out
Yeah.
too. So,
Absolutely. Well, and because no matter how much you learn or know, there's still more to
oh,
learn
there's
and grow
always going to
in.
be
Oh,
more. There's
always.
always going to be more. And I mean, that doesn't even like, on the business end too, but also on the creative
Yeah.
side. I mean, there's new cameras, new lenses coming out.
Mhm.
There's different ways to edit. Different things you can do to the picture on the back end, like new techniques, new lighting, styles and
Yeah.
things. I mean, there will always be something new to learn.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're interested in pursuing this, like don't close off like the ability to learn.
Right.
I think you always have to adapt because if you're not willing to learn new things and like adapt to the current climate of what is going on, like you're going to get left and your
Yes.
business is probably not going to be a business anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that we kind of talked about that a little bit when we had our conversation about like AI and photography a little
Mhm.
bit too, because so many things are going more of the AI route.
Right.
And so I think that things like that, you have to like work with it and figure it out and how you're going to use it or not use it or, you know, basically just
Yeah.
learn
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
things.
Well, and I think that this is totally a plug into what you were just talking about with AI and everything moving forward like that. I think it's interesting that we're in a place where that is on the verge,
Hmm.
but also people are going back to like old school type film
Yeah,
looking.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that interesting?
it is.
And just in general, people are kind of going back to if they want to garden and make their own
Yeah,
clothes and
going back.
yeah, we're like going two opposite directions
You
in
can never replace
society.
the creatives though,
Yeah.
No.
because we're the one who bring that human into
Right.
life.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so for both of you, tell us where everyone can find you online and then tell us where we can find Called and Creative.
So you can find me at millerimageandmotion.com or look me up on social media, Miller Image and Motion on Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
And then mine is Tilda Dawn Photo Company. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. My website's tildadon.co,
Okay.
not .com, .co. And then Instagram and Facebook is at Tilda Dawn Photo Co. And
Okay.
yeah, that's my tag.
And then Called and Creative, we find it on social media, Called and
Yes,
Creative.
we have Instagram and Facebook, no website currently,
Okay.
so just social media. And it's
Now, I'm assuming the website will launch with this wedding
More than likely.
training.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yep.
the end of this year, probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
Okay.
did have a site for a minute and it just wasn't getting used. It was more geared towards like booking events. And so
Gotcha.
we ended up deciding to go different routes.
Yeah.
So, if you visited our site before, it's still over there.
Yeah.
But
But they can follow you on social media for like meetups or
yes.
upcoming
Yep.
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
workshops,
Yep.
anything. Okay.
And they can always message one of us.
Yeah.
We have a private Facebook group for the coffee meetups.
Okay.
It worked better that way to connect with people and
Yeah.
stuff. If they
Keep the
wanna be
crazies out.
yeah, if they wanna be added to it, they can just message one of us. We'd be happy to do that.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so that is it for this session of the back office. If this conversation gave you clarity, a new angle, or just a reminder that you're not the only one navigating this, then it did its job. Take what's useful, apply it, move on it, and remember, no one has it fully figured out, but we're building anyway. And if you found this episode valuable, share it with another operator who's building, and you can always hang out with us in between sessions at Signify Marketing Social. I'm Dalayna Dillon, and we will see you next time.
Yo. Wanna hear you go.